magic unplug, replug.
All right. Business name.
Okay. Certainly. Okay, well, I'm Taylor Sharpe. Glad to be here. I'll make this quick since we're all waiting for lunch. My topic is Resilient SQL. There are a whole bunch of other names for it, but what I'm going to, as an intro into this, how many people who've done like a FileMaker certification before, or the certification test? Okay, when you've done the test, how have you done like me? The first time you did it, you go through, I'm going to go through all these functions, 200-300 functions, whatever. I got to make sure I know each function so I know the test. So I would go through and I would make sure I know all the functions. I would get down to this function called getFieldName. I thought that was the stupidest function. What the hell? I know the name of it. I'm putting it in there. Why would you ever create a field? So anyway, I literally went for years thinking someone was an idiot at FileMaker simply because I truly didn't understand. Some of the beauties of FileMaker is that in the context and schema we use, when we are really using fields, there really is a field ID number. It's really not the name. So we have behind the scene ID numbers, and it's the beauty that makes us be able to go into manage layouts, change a field, manage the database, change a field name, and it is now changed in all the layouts. We don't have to worry about going back and editing all our layouts or other things, and this is a real pain in other frameworks to do this in. So it's really kind of one of the neat things about FileMaker, but I didn't understand that aspect, and I also didn't understand why it would be of benefit. So Robert already gave us a deal on, there you are, on SQL. So everybody knows what SQL is. So we have a little SQL right here, and yes, this works, and it's very straightforward, and here's some results that we have. It's hunky-dory. So we go into Manage Database. Where's taxpayer name? We'll see if this will go quickly for us or not. Okay, so taxpayer name, I'm going to add a 1 to the end of it. I'm going to change the name, and we go back here and we say okay, and zippity-doo dying along.
It's now breaking everything.
And we come back to our SQL, and when it comes up here, as you notice, our SQL is now broken because we aren't using the same name, and we even get the response, which fortunately now FileMaker does return the errors. Didn't used to do that. So one of the things was we have this problem that when we hard code SQL names, we're hard coding the actual field name, but that is not tied in with the schema and the layouts. That's part of the architecture of FileMaker. So how do we make sure that if we change a field name, that it would change in the SQL that we do throughout things? And by the way, I use lots of SQL in my databases to avoid context changes and things like that. I really liked Robert's presentation. Thank you, Robert. So one of the things that we can do is we can use this get field name as a function, and what we have here, and I'll zoom in, is when we have a get field name and we evaluate that get field name, the advantage is because it's an actual function, when FileMaker saves a result in a calculation, it substitutes all of the field names to what the ID number is. And if you use the get field name function, what it does when FileMaker saves a calculation, it goes through and looks for fields and in essence changes them to their IDs. And so what happens is if you change a name, then your calculations automatically are updated whenever a field name changes. And that, in that case, results in us actually getting answers. As we can see down here at the bottom, our SQL is actually working. Is actually, here's our SQL, and we get the result. And that way, if we were to use this calculation in a, field calculation or conditional or hide or anything like that, using the get field name lets it remember what that field name is according to the actual schema and isn't restricted just to your hard-coded name. So it makes your SQL look a little bit uglier because you have to come through here and you have to build your SQL. And so building, what we do is when you get the field name, you have to parse out the field name into the table, into the field name. That's what we're doing right here. So this T1 up here is what I call is the table. F1 is the field. And if we look down at the bottom here, I'll put your T1, F1, and we can see down here, here's the SQL, here's our T, which is the table, and there's our field name, which will always be updated, and then our result that we will get down here. So if you're going to do a lot of SQLs, you might consider trying to do resilient SQL, as I call it, as a way of protecting your SQLs to any schema changes. And that is my talk.
Yeah, so really, anytime where in FileMaker we're evaluating a text result, using that get field name function can save your bacon. Yes. Especially with multiple developers. So, hey, Harmonic crew, remember that. Get field name.